Before we get into this episode, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. You can hit the notification button so you can get updated weekly on all of our latest content. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, tell us what you want to see next below. Okay, Dave, I'm going to get into ED and the penis later.
Okay, whatever you're into.
But first, I just want to get the lay of the land with your stories so the audience, if they have not heard it, which they probably already have, but just give us a little background. You were struggling with brain fog, weight gain, and a body that was aging too fast. How did you wake up and have that epiphany to do something different?
The problem is that I wasn't waking up.
Oh.
I was 300 pounds, and when I was 14, they said you have arthritis. I was on antibiotics for 15 years for chronic strep throat. I started to get fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And by the time I was 30, the doctors said, you have high risk of stroke and heart attack. You're pre-diabetic. You need to lose the weight. I'm like, really? I didn't notice. And what should I do? And they said, you should try to eat healthy and exercise. And I'm like, 18 months, 90 minutes a day, 6 days a week on a low fat, starving all the time, semi-vegetarian diet. Is that enough? And they just looked at me like, oh, you're lying. I'm like, I'm not lying. It didn't work. Right. So that was part of what led me to just say, I am only going to do what works. I was sitting at a Carl's Jr. with all of my thin friends because people were thin back 20 years ago, not like now. And I realized they're eating double Western bacon cheeseburgers. I've got the chicken salad with no dressing. Oh, and no chicken because calories. And I work out more than all of my friends combined. And I'm the fattest guy at the table. Like, maybe it's because I'm eating too much lettuce, or maybe it doesn't work. And when the doctor told me vitamin C would kill me, I'm like, they don't even understand. So I started hanging out with people 3 times my age at one of the first longevity nonprofits. Within a couple of years, they said, Dave, will you be president? So I'm running a nonprofit with the leaders in longevity from the 90s and early aughts, teaching me all of their secrets. And I could never get anyone under 60 to come to this. So I went on a spiritual pilgrimage, and I do a lot of meditation stuff around the world. And I spent 3 months in Nepal and Tibet. And I just thought about it. I'm like, oh, we have a branding problem for longevity. The reality is the stuff that makes old people young makes young people powerful. And so I renamed it to biohacking. And then all of a sudden we're all interested, and hedge fund managers and software developers and tech entrepreneurs did it. And then it was Hollywood and huge bands and Rick Rubin's on the red carpet with Ed Sheeran talking about it. Not because I asked him to, not because I was paying anybody, just because it was working. And this biohacking thing is now a $63 billion industry. Started with a blog post in 2011, the first biohacking conference in 2012. And today the conference is in Austin, May 28th with 4,000 people. And it's changed the way we talk about health. Anytime someone says hack your health or upgrade your health, these were not words you said. And when I first said them, it was outrageous and it made people really angry. And then I would just look at them, well, why are you so angry? Like, do you not want to have control of your biology? And the original definition of biohacking, it was the art and science of changing the environment around you and inside of you so you have control of your own biology. And that control, I want energy, I want focus, I want to be young, I want to look a certain way. And it really started out for me with, I want to be fertile because the mother of my children was infertile. And it took 5 years of research and developing a nutrition plan. My first book that people mostly don't know about is around preconception and pregnancy and fertility and having smarter children. If you want to live a long time, have a healthy mom. That's the easiest thing ever.
What did you realize? You said you were eating lettuce with no dressing and no chicken because calories. What were the changes that you made in your diet that made a big difference? Or were there little biohacks that you were doing to lose the weight?
Well, from that time forward, I tried every diet. I tried the Zone diet. I tried the Atkins diet. In fact, you can lose 50 pounds on a low carb diet easily. And the Atkins diet was the original keto diet, and full credit to Dr. Atkins for that. Problem was, he didn't care about what kind of protein or what kind of fat and what kind of sweeteners. So you can lose 50 pounds of 100 pounds. The other 50 pounds took me 10 years of research to figure out. And it comes down to get enough protein and fat from animals. And it's 1 gram per pound of body weight. And if you do that, it's like taking Ozempic, and you're just never hungry and you get to be as lean as you want, as long as the basics are working, your sex hormones, your thyroid, and you're not eating a lot of other junk. And then concentrate on butter and saturated fats with some olive oil, and just don't eat all the weird synthetic industrial oils. You do those things, you can still have carbs even, and people just lose weight. And I've had clients lose 1 pound a day for 75 days on this kind of thing. And people lost millions of pounds on reading my diet book. And today, what I do different, I eat fewer variety of plants than I did back then, because the first chapter in the book, I talked about different types of plant toxins, and we've just become better at knowing where they are. So there's a great chance that listeners right now are eating superfoods that are actually peasant foods, and they're not good for you. They're just better than starving to death.
When you say peasant foods, are you just saying these are foods that were largely abundant for, at the time, peasants to acquire, and they're not so nutritionally valuable?
What I mean is that if you were the king or the duke or the ruler, you're going to eat the white flour or the white rice, depending on where you are. Mm-hmm. It's not because you're dumb. It's because all of the toxins and irritants are in the outside of the grain. And it's okay to feed those to the peasants, because if they die, there's always more. I mean, it's kind of mean, but that's how it is. So these are foods that are cheap and bulky and provide calories, but not very much nutrition. Okay. So if you can afford to, you throw away the brown part of the rice, where all the arsenic is and all the irritants of the gut. And you throw away the brown part of the wheat, where all of the oxalate, which causes kidney stones and all sorts of problems. But if you don't have much choice because you're really poor, you feed them the whole grain, because there's more calories in the outer parts, there's just more toxins. So the whole history of food processing until very recently was, let's make the food less toxic. And what did the people who could afford to eat? They ate the cows. They ate the fish. They ate the eggs. They ate the cream.
I have to know though, like, what, if I laid out a bunch of vegetables, would you not dare touch?
Kale and spinach.
Okay.
Chard.
Okay.
Those are not good for you. 70% of kidney stones are caused by oxalate, and those are very high oxalate foods. Beets, I'm not touching beets.
Why?
Because they're high in oxalate.
Okay, what else?
You feed borscht to the peasants, and that is not what the royalty ate. And I'm not obsessed with what royalty ate. I'm just saying that if you have enough money, historically, you spent the money on the most nutritious foods, and you got rid of the toxins as much as you could, right? And if you didn't care about someone as much, because you viewed them as, property or chattel or whatever, like, your subjects, well, then you're like, well, just eat whatever, as long as you have enough energy that you're not starving. It's a very different perspective.
What about celery?
Celery is reasonably good. Now, a lot of carnivore people, and I've kind of been on that side of the camp for a very long time. Grass-fed red meat is central to the nutritional stuff I recommend. But you can have some celery, but I wouldn't want to eat, 2 heads of celery every day. That can be too much. And surprisingly, raspberries are terrible for you.
Why?
They are exceptionally high in oxalate.
Oh,
good. I don't like raspberries.
I just took 200 raspberries stuffed with a huge chocolate to my kids' school.
What about blueberries? Blueberries are the way to go.
Blueberries are legit. You should eat blueberries.
Okay, so what fruits do you like?
I'll eat melons.
Okay.
I will eat strawberries. Okay. I'll eat blueberries all day long. Mangoes.
Mangoes are legit too.
Right. But I don't really eat bananas, and specifically raspberries and blackberries. So I have them on my farm. I built a regenerative farm in Canada, raised my kids on it. And here's the problem with raspberries. There is so much of this oxalate that when you eat it, it finds calcium in your body and it forms razor sharp crystals, super tiny ones. And I have known so many women with interstitial cystitis or chronic UTIs. It's because their urine is full of razor sharp things that keep cutting their urethra. In fact, a friend recently, I was like, she kept complaining, I'm like, step away from the raspberries. She was eating a box a day because they're supposed to be good for you. She's had interstitial cystitis for 10 plus years. It went away in 3 days of cutting these out of her diet.
I literally just gave 20 students at school 700 raspberries. So thank you for this information. I'll bring melon.
Here's the thing.
Jeez.
Historically,
It's always something.
you get raspberries 2 weeks of the year,
Okay.
right? They spoil quickly and you're done. And if you did that, you'll dump the oxalate that your body picks up from that and it's okay. But we eat foods like almonds that are also very high. We eat them all the time, right? So this isn't what you would do naturally. Almonds are also incredibly hard to get. And as a farmer, I have a walnut tree. I have only eaten 2 walnuts in my life because the squirrels and the crows steal them. So if you want almonds and you're going through all of history, you had to have someone sitting there killing all the animals trying to steal your almonds. And they're not that dense on trees. So they're a luxury food that you get a little bit of. You don't eat, almond butter all the time. And when I first started sharing nutrition advice, I was not strict enough on this category of plant toxin. And the number of people with joint pain and skin conditions and all these weird things that are caused by plants, it's insane. So what you do is you back way off on the plants. You don't stop eating them entirely. And he's like, wow, what just changed? And quite often really big things happen.
So we've heard, doing the show for as long as we've done it, we've heard versions of this. I've never heard yet somebody come on and not like spinach. And that is obviously, if you Google or go through AI, what should you eat more to get certain kinds of things. Spinach is always at the top of the, why don't you like spinach?
It's absurd. So like, oh, spinach has iron, spinach has whatever. Spinach is so full of oxalate. Oxalate is a chelator. What that means is it sticks to minerals. All the minerals in spinach, you can't use them, and it is stealing minerals from your bones and inserting basically tiny little cactus spines throughout your body that cause all kinds of problems.
So what lettuces, vegetables is Dave eating?
Arugula is perfectly safe.
You better put arugula on my son's smoothie tomorrow, not that spinach.
I have
He's been feeding my son spinach every day.
Dude, stop it.
I have a little spinach, but luckily I eat very few vegetables. And I have never eaten vegetables, and everyone gets mad at me for not eating all these vegetables, and I feel great.
Vegetables are not essential.
Okay, what else?
Arugula is good. You can eat romaine. Any kind of lettuce is just fine.
Okay.
The darker, the better.
Okay.
It's just spinach and kale and chard are the nasty ones.
Okay.
And beet greens, if people are dumb enough to eat those.
What's your most, at this moment, unpopular opinion that is wild, that you really just want to say, but people aren't ready for it?
Tobacco is bad for you, but nicotine is good for you.
Oh, I can get down with that.
So
Michael loves nicotine. Michael's like, fuck yeah.
I interviewed, this has got to be 8-9 years ago, a guy called Dr. Nicotine from Vanderbilt University. And I found him because he wrote the first paper in 1986 showing that pharmaceutical nicotine, not smoking, not vaping, but pharmaceutical nicotine reverses Alzheimer's disease. Mm-hmm. And he has published paper after paper after paper since then. But when I say nicotine, most listeners heard me say tobacco. They're not the same thing. Coffee and caffeine are not the same thing. So when you get rid of all the tobacco nastiness, what's left is, at low doses, something that is neuroprotective, something that mimics exercise in the body, and something that helps with focus. So you look at Mother Nature's 2 original cognitive enhancing, life enhancing substances, it is caffeine and nicotine. And both are good for you at the right dose. In fact, they're both associated in many studies with benefits. Now, if you're taking huge amounts of nicotine or you're smoking, the benefits are overwhelmed by burning stuff and breathing it, right? But if you're drinking energy drinks, it's not the same as having either caffeine or coffee. And coffee is the most potent superfood of any superfood you could find. Just look at the studies, reductions of all-cause mortality. Look at cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, liver health, brain health. It just goes on. And you have these weird people with like 1970s beliefs going, well, I'm going to give up caffeine because it's addictive. You know what else is addictive? Sleep, exercise, breathing. There's nothing wrong with something that makes you feel better and makes you live longer if you do it every day. Plus coffee tastes good. So I would say caffeine and nicotine are beneficial at low doses for humans, and the evidence is overwhelming.
Yeah, I've never understood the people that say you got to like cut coffee. For me, I think you have to learn how to do it in the right dosage. Yeah. There's no better person to ask about coffee. How do you consume coffee at this point?
Give us your exact routine.
I always brew my coffee with a metal filter.
Okay.
What's the brand?
The brand is called Danger Coffee. And it's danger because who knows what you might do. This is my new coffee post Bulletproof. And it has a therapeutic dose of trace minerals and electrolytes in it. You won't taste the minerals. It's super high in coffee, but these are the minerals that your body needs more of, and we're all mineral depleted. So you needed those anyway. They might as well be in your coffee because it makes the coffee hit different, but it tastes so good.
That makes total sense. What's the metal filter?
The metal filter is, if you have any kind of coffee maker, it can have a paper filter or it can have like a tiny little screen in it. And if you have a paper filter, it soaks up the oils in the coffee. And coffee oils are essential oils, not essential nutrition essential, but more like essential oils like from herbs. And these are associated with reductions of inflammation in the brain. They're called caffestrol and cowahol. And they can raise cholesterol in what I would consider to be a beneficial way. And they're good for the liver.
Is it like on Amazon? Is it just like a random? You need to make Danger Coffee metal filters.
Well,
that would sell
we could
out.
make the filters. That's an interesting idea. And if you do a French press, that's a metal screen. If you do espresso, which is what I do, I have a beautiful espresso machine. I bought it by accident once, but I drink Americanos and sometimes I put some MCT or butter, but not usually. I don't need to with the minerals. It's fine by
I'm
itself.
going to ask you the brand of your beautiful espresso maker too. Sorry.
It's a La Marzocco GS3.
A La Marzocco GS3. This sounds like a Ferrari.
It looks like a Ferrari.
Okay.
The reason I have this is that years ago when I started Bulletproof, I hired the first employee from Starbucks because I knew about coffee toxins, but there's things about the industry I didn't know. And she said, well, you're CEO of a coffee company. Let me buy you a good espresso machine. I'm like, it's a couple grand or something. This machine was at the time $17,000 and she didn't tell me. And it arrives and I took it out of its crate and put it in my car because I had to get it into Canada without it being new. So then I saw the receipt. I'm like, I can't return this thing. It was $17,000. And I have used it for 14 years and it brings me joy every day. So
it's worth it.
Maybe, but it's awesome.
So if you were going to advise someone on the typical dosage, let's say, of coffee and caffeine and maybe timing of that dosage, what would you say is right for most individuals?
Studies show increasing benefits up to 5 cups a day for reductions in all-cause mortality. And so the upper limit for caffeine would be about 400 milligrams. So that means you can have up to 5 cups and decaf works if you want to. Different people have different rates of removing caffeine based on liver metabolism. For most people, you can drink coffee until 2 p.m. And for some people, it's noon. And for some unlucky people, you have to stop at 10 a.m. or it'll ruin your sleep later that night. And if you get jittery when you drink coffee, it's not the coffee, it's the mold in the coffee. This is a major problem in the U.S. The U.S. has no limitations on toxic mold in coffee. And you're not going to see the mold is the toxins left over from fermentation. So when coffee is illegal to sell in China, Japan, or Europe, they will send it to the US and then we drink it. And then an hour later, we're like jittery and cranky, we want sugar. And it's not the coffee, it's the mold. And there are thousands of people who say, I had to quit drinking coffee. And I was one of them. And then they tried Danger Coffee. And they're like, oh, I don't have any issues with this. I'm like, maybe it wasn't the coffee. It was something else in the coffee.
For me, I'm wondering what's the difference between Bulletproof and Danger?
Bulletproof is my old company. I was removed from the company several years ago. It's been bought by a hedge fund. I have nothing to do with Bulletproof anymore.
Okay.
And I like to read the labels on the things that I consume. And Danger Coffee says mold-free right on the label. And some of the other brands I've worked with don't say mold-free anymore.
So mold-free is really important.
It's critically important in coffee, especially if you get jittery from coffee.
And just so I'm clear, do you put butter in Danger Coffee?
You can. You don't have to.
Do you?
Not regularly if I have like a really big day or something. And the reason butter in coffee works really well, I got the idea in Tibet on the side of the holiest mountain in the world when I had yak butter tea.
What year was that?
Hold on, what's yak butter tea?
It sounds like it's a tea from yak butter.
Well, that was 2004.
What a hard-hitting question, Lauren.
And so it was really weird. I went there and you're at 18,000 feet elevation, which is really high and it's cold and you feel like garbage when you're at like those mountaineering levels. And I just drank this thing. I'm like, my brain works incredibly well. What just happened? And it drove me crazy because this little Tibetan woman, okay, she walks a quarter mile to the river, cracks the ice, gets the water. They boil the water over yak dung fire because that's the only fuel you can have up there. There's no trees. And then they make the tea. And okay, I want tea. No. Then they take the tea and they pour it into a butter churn and they add a couple big hunks of yak butter. And she takes 10 minutes going cha-chunk, just churning the butter. And I'm like, what is this? And then they drink this kind of lukewarm tea. Like, that's dumb. Eat the butter, drink the tea. It does not work. And I funded research at the University of Washington. It was like a $50,000 grant. And Dr. Gerald Pollack, who's one of the premier biologists studying water and cells, he's like, Dave, it turns out butter oil and MCT oil change the structure of the water into the same water that your cells use for energy. So these Tibetans figured it out a long time ago that they don't have enough energy. There's not enough food, but if they could make the water so that the body could use it directly, that it was actually more energy efficient. So that's why she was churning the butter.
Dave, if I don't wake up tomorrow and Michael's not churning butter for 10 minutes with some yak butter in there, I'm going to divorce him.
Okay.
That's what I want. That's what I want my coffee.
The good news, Michael, is that the wealthier Tibetans who had 2 yaks, they would have a car battery and a blender. It's much easier now with the little hand whisks, but back then, literally, that was the height of luxury, so they could blend it. So
I thought you were going to say the good news, Michael, and then pull out some yak butter. But
nice, yeah.
But the story will suffice.
But the thing is, with the minerals in Danger Coffee, it's got so much energy in it that I do much less butter in my coffee because I get my butter in other dishes.
What was the first time that you meditated, and did that change your life, or was it meditating over time that changed your life?
Well, I was interested in meditation in my 20s. So I would get these CDs back then.
Yeah.
And I would try some of it. And I did some esoteric practice. And actually, I had a scary experience. And I was like, what is that? Like, I'm not doing that anymore. I went into some altered state. And this will sound funny, like a leprechaun attacked me. And I'm like, what the absolute, can I swear on here?
Of course.
Yes.
I'm like, what the absolute fuck? I was just trying to, okay, I'm done with this. Okay. I have no idea what's going on in my brain. It's probably toxic mold or something. But I'm like,
From coffee.
this is so weird. No, that was from my house.
Okay.
But I was kind of weirded out by it. But then I went through this journey where I'm kind of anxious and miserable and angry, especially angry all the time. And my brain doesn't work that well. I've had Asperger's syndrome, but I'm getting really bad chronic fatigue. And so I tried kind of being famous. I was in Entrepreneur Magazine when I'm 23, the first guy to sell anything on the internet. And most people didn't even know what the internet was back then.
What was that for? What did you get featured for?
It was a t-shirt that said caffeine, my drug of choice. It had this molecule, the caffeine molecule on it. So I did that. Okay, it felt good for 15 minutes, but I'm not happy. Well, shit, that doesn't work. And then I made $6 million when I was 26 at the company that held Google's first servers when it was 2 guys and 2 computers. And right at the middle of Silicon Valley where all of the big companies were using our data centers, and lost the money 2 years later. And like, when I had $6 million, I looked at a friend and said, I'll be happy when I have 10. It doesn't make you happy. And then I tried getting married in my 20s. Because, hey, not being lonely will make you happy. None of it worked. I got divorced when I was 30. So I'm on this path of like, how do I find what's going to make me happy and not angry? And after I'd sort of lost a bunch of money and had a divorce, I was really tweaking. And a friend said, Dave, go to this 10-day workshop. And she knows I'm a rational computer science guy. And I go, why? And she goes, you just need to, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because then you won't go. But I was so like desperate and kind of broken that I went, and it was like drinking from a fire hose. We did holotropic breathing, internal family systems, things you've heard of now. This was unheard of. And this would have been 24 years ago. And a bunch of other just really esoteric transpersonal psychology stuff. And the biggest lesson there was, we were doing this thing. You ever seen like people getting angry at pillows with wiffle ball bats? This kind of therapy?
No.
It's weird. Okay. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is so dumb. But there's like these other grown ass adults like just wailing and banging on pillows and letting go of whatever trauma they have. I do trauma work with people all the time. I understand what was going on now. But at the time, I'm like, I cannot stand the sound of this. And it was freaking me out. So I'm like, I have to go. And this very wise woman, she was in her 80s, who led the event, named Barbara Van Dysen. It turns out she was the head of the American Pre- and Perinatal Psychology Association. She took one look at me and was like, what happened when you were born? I'm like, oh, I had the cord wrapped around my neck. She goes, yeah, I know. And she like told me all of my flaws. I'm like, what happened? She goes, oh yeah, it's science. Like the way you're born can set up patterns in your life and until you deal with it. So anyway, these people are banging on these things and screaming.
Wow.
And these, Barbara and two other women and the therapist, they said, well, let's just sit in the room and just see if you can sit here with it. And they're like, you must be feeling something. Oh yeah, I'm feeling pissed off because this is dumb. And they were very patient with me. And they said, well, do you feel anything in your body? And I say, there's something in my stomach. And they go, there's a name for it. I'm like, what is it? It's fear. And I looked at them and I said, there's nothing in here to be afraid of. Therefore, it's not fear. And she totally laughed. She goes, you know what? Fear is an emotion. It doesn't have to be rational. And I'm like, oh, wow, how did I think of that? And what they showed me was that my nervous system was doing all kinds of stuff that I had no idea it was doing. And that was really my entry into meditation and breath work and trauma and all these things. And I actually thought the word trauma was dumb because I'm like, I'm not bleeding. Like there isn't any real trauma here. Just walk it off. Maybe growing up in New Mexico does that. But what they showed me was that those are states that are controllable. And after that, I went on this journey of studying with masters around the world. I've been through shamanic training. I've done Joe Dispenza's breath work. I did a breath work event with Stan Groff, who invented holotropic breathing, who's now 100 years old. I hosted an event
I'd
with
like
him.
an invite to that.
It's incredible. And I learned to meditate in monasteries in Tibet and in Nepal, and went to South America. And it's 1999. I sought out ayahuasca, and it was not a tourist industry. People wouldn't even spell it. And I went down there and I asked around and they said, you're white. I'm like, yeah, I know. I said, but you won't like it. It's for locals. I said, well, no, I've done my research. I want to do it. And I found a shaman, and I'm really fortunate that I found a qualified shaman because I think it's a very dangerous drug for people who don't have the appropriate training. But I have studied with many gurus and masters over that time to understand what's going on in there. And they opened a neuroscience clinic about 10 years ago called 40 Years of Zen, because you can, in 1 week, change your brain using computers to match the state of someone who's meditated for decades. I spent 6 months of my life with electrodes glued to my head, learning how my nervous system works, how to control my state, how to not be angry, and just how to be peaceful. And that's the other side of biohacking, because you can start biohacking for longevity, which is like fun, but you can also start it because I just don't want to be fat anymore. I want my energy back. And soon, like, I have so much energy, I want to live a long time. And then you go, I want to be happy. So you will become on the path, or you will join the path of consciousness exploration and longevity if you start biohacking. It's inevitable.
What were the traumas that you were healing? And do you think that some of the traumas that you were healing got you to the point of how successful you are?
Mm-hmm. Having done deep work and looked at the brainwaves of more than 1,000 entrepreneurs, the vast majority of them had adversity, whether it was early childhood adversity or very commonly bullying. I was an obese kid. I had Asperger's syndrome, and it was pretty bad. I also had oppositional defiant disorder.
What's that?
You ever heard the Rage Against the Machine song, like F you, I won't do what you told me?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Did
running
you
in your
have
head.
that? Michael had
Yeah,
that
but
too.
they lost a little credibility during the COVID era.
Nah.
I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
song kind of lost a little bit of its steam.
Pretty much most, Rage. It was like,
It was like Rage with the Machine at
it's
that
like
point.
wank into the machine. I know those guys. Ugh.
It was just devastating for me. I was a fan. Still am a fan.
I was
Still am
a
a fan,
fan.
but you know.
Yeah, I'm a fan, but it tastes bad.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, guys, if you're listening. So anyhow, that just resistance. Anytime someone says do something, automatically before you can think, no, you can't make me. Right. And that can be maybe useful as an entrepreneur, but it is incredibly dysfunctional. And I had OCD, and I would stutter sometimes, and I got in a lot of fights. Never threw a first punch, but when you don't really have social skills, and you're pretty intelligent, which I am, it's rough. So I had bullying. I had a lot of mine though was from birth. Having a traumatic birth, you come into the world and something's trying to kill you. Literally, something's choking you, or there's a doctor with forceps. And birth is a process that's a spiritual process when it's natural. And if you skip steps, or it's unpleasant when that happens, or there's trauma, you come into the world primed, like, I'm not safe. And you will carry that with you until you do the work. And I've sat there and I've done the work with other people who were intubated, or people who were in an incubator, or people who just had a rough birth. And this is not something that you're going to have in your conscious mind. And what I've learned, and what's in my new book, it's that your body processes reality for about a third of a second, and then it shows you an emotion, and then you make up a story about the emotion. So if your body is primed for threats instead of primed for safety and thriving and connection, you will be angry. You will be anxious, and it is not your fault. You won't even know that there's another state possible.
If someone's impatient and irritable all the time, how do they get connection? How do they switch it?
Just stop being vegan. It's easy. Sorry. One of my love languages is trolling vegans. I was a vegan, so anyway. So more seriously, I had to say it. If you're impatient all the time, you first address it from a biology perspective. It's probably what you're eating or how you're sleeping. So you eat less toxins, you learn what nourishes you, you take away the things that make you weak.
What if it's from childhood?
If it's been there since childhood, then you go back, and in Heavily Meditated, I am giving away the core of what I do for entrepreneurs for $16,000 at 40 years of Zen. It's called the reset process. And this is a process where you go in, and it is around, believe it or not, forgiveness. But forgiveness isn't what people think it is. It's an altered state that we're capable of going into. So you're acting impatient and anxious. It's not that you chose to do that. It's that your body is showing that to you. So you make sure you're well nourished and you're well rested. If it's still there, then okay. What is the first time you felt that way? And if you ask someone who's relaxed that, they'll suddenly, oh my gosh, I thought it was because my boss was yelling at me, but I just remembered that my father used to yell at me, or my mother, or this teacher was mean to me. It'll just like drop into your head for no reason. And most of the time when that happens, we're trained to just ignore those thoughts. But instead, I'm going to ask you to catch it. And then you run through this reset process where you kind of go back in time. It's a very specific meditation format. And I do this with executives with electrodes on their head to show them how to enter these states more quickly. But you can do it without it. And once you identify, oh, that's the first time I remember feeling that way, you re-experience the feeling. You can replay any feeling you've ever had, good or bad, but it's not the thought of it. It's the sensations in the body, and it's uncomfortable. You find something beneficial that happened. So even if, you were bullied, what's one good thing that came out of that? It doesn't have to be big. It could be, maybe it made me tough, right? Even though it was painful, right? So now you have a benefit. And once you start feeling icky, but then you flip into curiosity and you find gratitude. Gratitude is a spark, and that can light a fire that becomes forgiveness. And then you sit down in this structured process that's in full detail in the book, and you sit the other person across from you. Usually your eyes are closed, good music. There's a special soundtrack that works better for this because I don't have electrodes on your head. And then you look at it from the other person's perspective. You're like, what had to happen to that person for them to do that? Like, what was their childhood like? Like, what did their parents do to them? Like, and you just realize it wasn't about you, and that they're a flawed human being, but most people are. And you can actually shift into a state of first empathy and then compassion, where you actually wish the other person well. And since you just re-experienced this icky feeling, and then gratitude through the switch, and then you experience forgiveness and compassion, that state, when you do it right, cancels out the negative stuff permanently, and you will never be triggered by that again.
It's so funny you say this, because that what you just described is what I've done with my parents.
Oh,
Like
so healthy.
I do that with my parents. I think of them as little. I think of their childhood, and it makes you feel so compassionate and empathetic that and I had great parents, but there's nothing like if you feel angry at your parents, there's nothing to be angry at when you can, like you said, forgive them.
And then you can do it also with your husband.
My husband.
That one's tough.
My husband. I don't know. I want to strap some electrodes on that brain and see what's in there.
I have probably, as you were talking, there's like probably a lot of similarity. Like I forget what you called it when like I was very combative when I was being told what to do. I was basically in trouble all the time as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I was small as a kid. So I was always fine, but like there was a period of bullying. And I think like, and my reaction to that was fights and lashing out and trouble. So like there's a lot of this
I
stuff
also
is
think
resonating.
that he was put outside because we've known each other since we were 12.
Oh, wow. That's
He
so
was
cool.
put outside all the time. So like I would be in the class learning and he would be outside. And then not only was he put outside, couldn't go on school trips. And then every Saturday he was in Saturday school all day. So it's weird. You like spent so much time alone with your thoughts in a sort of meditation because you were constantly chastised out of the class.
Yeah. I mean, like as you were talking, I was just thinking about like a lot of that. And there's probably some work that needs to be done, but also like I'm empathetic to a lot of the people that were put, especially then, like I was talking to our kids are getting ready to go to school.
Oh, wow.
And I was talking to this assistant principal. I'm like, oh, I spent a lot of time with you when I was a kid. But she's like, oh yeah, we don't do that kind of stuff anymore.
They don't do it anymore.
Because I think they've learned that like, it's not productive. And at the time, like I look back, I'm like, okay, well, like these teachers were probably at their wits' end. And listen, like this is not the most traumatic thing.
Dude, no, don't underestimate that. Like if you're 6 years old and a teacher is shaming you and kicking you out, which is ostracism, as an adult, that's not at the time, it fucking sucked and it left a mark. And that mark is there until you do the work.
It was all the time too.
I remember
I had the
every
same
day.
thing.
The first time I was suspended, I was in first grade.
Mm-hmm.
I gave Miss Golden the middle finger in keyboard class.
Who did you moon? The principal?
And I'm sorry for that. Miss
You're my
Golden.
hero. I like you already.
You also tried to finger bang me through my overalls in sex ed.
Okay, well, we're in
That's
sex
a true
ed.
story.
Sex ed. It's hands-on training.
But you're right. Now when I think back on it, like I was probably how old are you in first grade? 6 to 7 years
I
old.
think so, yeah.
Sent home, had to deal with dad,
Mm-hmm.
different time, different kind of punishment. You can't do that stuff anymore. And then like you got to, you got to go back and do it. But then like that was like a repetitive cycle. And anyways, I think it's interesting as you're talking because as I've gotten older, and I never really thought about it, but I think about it a lot now just because it was so many years that I'm like, oh, it probably wasn't the healthiest thing.
If you were at 40 years of Zen, we'd sit down and you'd actually run the reset process against the teachers. But you don't do it against all teachers. You do it against this one time, this one teacher did this one thing. And I had something from first grade that it sounds crazy. And I write about it in Heavily Meditated. But I'd forgotten entirely what this thing was. And then I went on the Joe Rogan show. In fact, I was on 3 times. And it was always like sharing good knowledge. And then all of a sudden, after I was on, he comes on and goes, Dave Asprey is a liar. And that was exactly the day that a company that he has an ownership stake in decided that they were going to launch a competing product. So he spent like 18 months sending armies of trolls to my social and just savaging my reputation.
Wow.
Rogan?
Yeah.
When was this? What year was this?
2014, 2015. Like
and what was the thing that he
Well, they hired a fact checker from my first interview. Said Dave lied, and they went through like everything I said, and I had remembered that my tuition went up 1,500% 20 years ago. It only went up 900%. That was my lie, right? So it was a calculated like let's destroy a competitive thing, and I accept that now. But at the time, totally rocked my world. Like, oh my god, what's going on? My company was already successful before I went on a show. And I've run the reset process. I've done forgiveness. I have no issues with Joe. In fact, the way he handled the pandemic, like amazing. Mm. So it felt really, really bad. And one of my employees whose job was to drive generals in Iraq through minefields. was like, Dave, it's just a guy. Like you need to chill. Like, why is this bothering you so much? So I sat down to do the reset process on this. I hooked on the electrodes, and this memory just popped into my head that I had totally forgotten. In first grade, I tattled on another kid for doing something he shouldn't have done. And the teacher asked me, little Johnny, did you do that? He goes, I didn't do it. Dave did it. And I got sent to the principal's office. And it turns out that trauma is one of the major entrepreneurial traumas out there. It's injustice. I did the right thing and I got punished. And if you want to enrage a first grader, punish them for something they didn't do. It feels like the end of the world. So I have these end of the world feelings. I have no idea they're connected to some childhood trauma. And the second I recognized it and I ran the reset process, reality appeared to me. The reality is every time Joe Rogan says Dave Asprey is a bad man, I sell more coffee. It doesn't matter what he says. After 18 months, I think he figured that out and stopped talking about it and deleted the episodes when he went to Spotify. But don't worry, I have them backed up. And it's like, that's reality, but I couldn't see reality because of my own stupid first grade trauma. It doesn't have to be a big thing. That's what I'm saying. And so this process of becoming untriggerable is the most important thing you can do. If you want to have a high performance brain, stop wasting all this electrical energy on emotional responses to things that aren't threats anymore.
That is so true, what you just said. Stop wasting energy on being reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about it on this show, and like we use, like I'll use the phrasing, like and maybe like it's through doing a lot of these works and having a lot of the conversations. Like when I think about when people, because it's a question that people write all the time, like how do you avoid being triggered? And I like my response to this one is like I just don't see the advantage in it. Like it's only harming me when
I'm
when
gonna
I
play
get into
this
that
clip
state.
in the morning when I'm running behind and you get triggered by it.
You gotta be.
This
like,
is
we
so
hire a fact checker.
amazing.
Hire a fact checker.
This is so amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, move it along.
I'm moving along.
Let's talk about triggering for a second, though.
Yeah, please.
Okay. If you can be triggered, it means you're carrying a loaded gun. I mean, that's what the word means, right? We are in Texas, so I guess it's okay.
I got one right here.
But I mean, a lot of people they don't want to be doing that. But if you can be triggered, you can be controlled, you can be programmed, and you are not free. It's that straightforward. You know, like I love to tease vegans because I was such a devout vegan. I'm like, guys, if that dysregulates you, you have some work to do. And it's probably going to involve butter. I'm just saying. But whatever it is, no one on earth should be able to take you out of your chosen state. And the more triggered you are, the more of your life you're wasting. So what most of us do, especially highly successful people, you're sitting in a board meeting, you're sitting in a meeting, an employee does something they shouldn't have done, and you act calm, but you're not calm inside. And that's called lacking congruence. And this is like why I wrote the book, because congruence is when your inner state matches your outer state. Well, if your inner state is pissed off, but you're saying I wasn't triggered because I behaved and I played the game and I smiled even though everyone knows I'm pissed off, that doesn't count. To really do it, you've got to turn off the trigger at the source so it never happens again.
So how do you maintain a chosen state? And what is your chosen state?
My chosen state is peaceful and powerful.
Love it.
And loving and kind. The kindness thing, it's actually built into our biology to be kind to other humans especially, and to be kind to other animals. And it happens automatically, but it won't happen if you're afraid. It won't happen if you're malnourished, and it won't happen if you have no love in your life, right? And so you can be in those states, but it's about how you allocate the energy you have, and it's about having enough energy to allocate. So you reduce, as you do your work, you reduce the amount of energy you waste on fear, and then you shift it into, if I could turn fear into peace, can I turn hunger into nourishment? And so you learn how to eat, so you're not hungry for 4 hours after you eat, and you stop spending 1/3 of your thoughts every day about food, which is what most people do. And then, maybe I can turn porn and empty sex into a sacred form of nourishment and entering altered healing states, which is what sex can be. And there's a chapter in the book on that as well. And I have so much energy left over. Maybe I can serve my community. And there's even some left over after that because now my community supports me, and maybe I can do the deep work. And in the framework I use in the book, it's always in order. This is how your body processes reality. It's fear, food, the other F word, fertility maybe, but fear, food, fucking, and then friend, and then forgive. And it's like every single input to your nervous system, the words I'm saying, the lights in them, all of it runs automatically before you can think through a filter. Is it scary? Can I eat it? Can I hump it? Is it a friend? And if not, then what am I going to do? Whatever you choose. Or you're going to do forgiveness if it hit a trigger in any of those.
Every single day I take Symbiotica. It is in my day to day. So how I like to use it is usually I'll do the vitamin C in the morning and I'll mix it in with my electrolytes. It tastes so good. It tastes like an orange chai. And then later on, I'll do the glutathione. And then I've been using the elderberry a lot since I've been pregnant because it's really good for immunity. So I play with a lot of their supplements. I just feel like it's a brand that I can trust. It has a lot of integrity around its supplements, and I like them because they're liposomal. So I just take the little packet, I squeeze it in my mouth or in my water, and I move along. Everything tastes so good. And right now, Symbiotica is having a limited time memorial sale. I actually went on their site and stocked up with my own code. My parents take their vitamins. Michael takes their vitamins. My kids eat their chocolate mushrooms all the time with strawberries. I'm just a fan of the whole thing. I even use their magnesium lavender spray on my feet at night to wind down. It's the best. Symbiotica is wellness in its simplest form. Their convenient liquid pouches make healthy habits easy, efficient, and honestly, just so good. Hurry to symbiotica.com/TSC to get 25% off. That's CYMBIOTIKA.com/TSC for 25% off. I don't mean to brag, but I have never had a stretch mark on my stomach from pregnancy. I've had other things. I've had a lot of other things, which we can get into on another episode. But I have not had a stretch mark. And I think it's because I am militant about oiling up my stomach. So my routine is simple. I dry brush, Skinny Confidential dry brush, always. Then I take a shower. And right now I'm a little too sensitive to cold water. So I'm doing a hot shower. And then I'll end on cold for like 15 seconds, sometimes 30. If I'm feeling brave, I get out of the shower and then I put on Osea's algae body oil. It is the best. First of all, it leaves your skin so smooth. It's amazing for not only if you're pregnant, but for your legs, for your arms. I like to put it on my clavicle. It gives you this really pretty glow. It's silky, it's soft, it's glowy, and it's the perfect addition to your bathroom because it really does everything at once. It's the scent of summer. Really, it has like mango, mandarin, grapefruit, lime. Really, really pretty. We got to learn all about the benefits of algae on the skin. It really like firms your skin and makes you feel more sculpted and toned, which is great when you're pregnant. And it's really rich. It's like never greasy, and it's clinically proven to instantly improve skin elasticity. I think this is a huge reason why I haven't gotten stretch marks. Get healthy, glowing skin for summer with clean, vegan face and body care from Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code SKINNY at OseaMalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. Head to OSEAMalibu.com and use code SKINNY for 10% off.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online, whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand. Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your own terms. What I love about platforms like Squarespace is it gives you the power to create the destiny and the life that you want, whether that's that side hustle, if you want to build an online presence, if you want to build an e-com store, if you want to sell subscription content. Squarespace helps you do all of it. A decade ago when Lauren and I started, it was so hard to put all these pieces together to build an online business. We have been such huge proponents of owning your own content, owning your own e-com store, owning your own destiny when it comes to online platforms. And so many of the platforms that we engage with online, these third parties, don't give us that power. They own the algorithm, which puts you at the mercy of their platforms. With a platform like Squarespace, you can take that destiny and that control control into your own hands by owning your own content, your own platform, your own e-com store. So if you've been thinking about building that side hustle, you've been thinking about building that business, been thinking about just creating something online that you want to share with people around you and people in the world, long gone are the days where you have to go and hire 18 different people and developers and designers to build a website or a platform. Squarespace lets you do it all on your own in one place. So check them out. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, squarespace.com/skinny to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/skinny.
How do you run your own personal meditation situation, and how are you running through these 5 things in your meditation?
Meditation primarily focuses on fear for the vast majority of them, or some of them focus on body awareness so you can develop more intuition, more intuitive powers. So you pick a goal for your meditation. And the main reason or the main thought behind heavily meditated is that there are so many ancient practices and there are so many psychedelics, although that's only one chapter in the book, so many other things you can do, including technologies that allow you to enter these sacred altered states. And high performance is an altered state. Healing is an altered state. Focus is an altered state. And how do I meditate on those? Well, if I find something that's a trigger, I don't have a lot of them left. But if something does trigger me, it's most likely because I did something that lowered the amount of energy I had. So my self-regulation wasn't where I wanted it to be. You know, if you don't sleep for 2 days, you're going to be cranky, right? And that's true of monks too, right? You know, you do your best. So that's the most likely cause. But if it's something that's actually a trigger, then I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do the reset process. In my case, I'm going to slap electrodes on. So when I do altered states work now, I've done shamanic training, I've done energy work, and all kinds of stuff like that. So I'm much more likely to go into like a deeper bodily awareness or connecting energetically to other things and doing work outside of myself.
That's what I think I'm so attracted to with Dr. Joe Dispenza is when I do his meditation, I feel like it and I don't know if I'm sure it's designed to do this, but like I'm just meditating on the future and abundance and what I want it to look like and designing my own life. And it feels powerful when I get out of it.
Joe Dispenza's work is so beautiful, and I'm so honored to have gotten to know him. And he's speaking this year at my conference in Austin, April 28th, biohackingconference.com. There's plug. But his work is profound because some of it is around forgiveness and around resetting triggers, but a lot of it's around manifestation. And a meditation for a manifestation or for making things happen is a very different altered state. And if you look at the history of meditation, you look at the research, there is something called yogic siddhis. This is SIDHI. And they sat down over the course of a couple thousand years and said, well, here's the superpowers humans are capable of. Not very many, but these happen often enough that we've noticed patterns. Things like the ability to heal another person, the ability to read someone's mind, telekinesis, and like this list of things. And they're saying, well, these are powers that often emerge in people when they're working on becoming fully enlightened. And like, whoa. So all of those sound like complete nonsense to a computer science guy like me, except if you look at books like Dean Radin's book, Becoming Supernormal, there's huge evidence that people who meditate regularly or do the other techniques that are like meditation in the book, they sometimes have abilities. For instance, people who meditate, if you ask them to guess, what color is the card, they will answer much more likely than statistics say they should.
See, Michael?
It's real.
I told Michael when I became pregnant again and meditating together, I swear to God, you feel more intuitive when you're pregnant, and then you add meditation to it and it's like crazy.
Pregnant women are super intuitive.
Michael, I'm telling you.
I never doubted it.
I keep telling him this. Can I ask you something?
Sure.
This is like a selfish question. What time of day are you meditating regularly and how long?
I didn't say I meditate regularly.
Oh, well, I would think you do. What do you mean?
I just like to get shit done.
Okay, so what's your protocol?
Well, if I can spend 5 days with electrodes glued to my head, that's the same as meditating for 20 years.
Very biohacking meditation.
Of course.
I love it.
How many hours a day do you want to meditate to get all the results?
I personally like to meditate 30 minutes a day.
Okay. If you got the same results in 1 minute a day, would it be better?
Yeah, but I do got to say it's nice to have 30 minutes to myself.
Cool.
So what if you had 29 minutes of time to yourself to do whatever you wanted and 1 minute of meditation got you there?
Okay. Okay.
You
I
know
know
what I'm
I'm
saying?
listening.
So I'm just saying that.
So are you literally meditating for 1 minute?
You don't have to. I'm meditating right now. Like when
Got
you
it.
have control of your state. So I'm monitoring my energetic state right now, and I'm in the state that I choose. And after you've done enough of this, and again, 6 months of my life with the computer hooked up to my head, playing with this, learning how to do it, you can choose your state, right? And I can drop into different things like that. And someone who's, an ascended master or some kind of thing, they probably do all kinds of stuff I can't do. But if I want to really drop in, it takes me 30 seconds to go into a deep state that would have taken me 3 hours when I started on this path.
That makes more sense.
Yes.
Like, so you're saying you can get to that deeper state quicker.
You get there very, very quickly. And I've done, Joe Dispenza's 7-day workshops, and oh my God, that's mind-blowing stuff. And I do breath work on occasion and all that stuff, but it's almost more recreational at this point because those states are available to all of us. And number one, you need to feel them. And then you need to understand you can replay any state you've been in. You just have to remember what it felt like in your body. And most of us are so in our head, including me as a guy with Asperger's. I didn't know anything below the neck mattered when I started this. But once you learn how to be in your body versus in your head, you just realize like you're plugged in ways that you didn't think. And then you can shift your state quickly.
This audience is going to kill us if we don't talk to you about longevity.
Okay.
What do you see as some of, listen, there's all sorts, like everyone's aware of seed oils and sleep and all these things. From your perspective, what do you think people are doing to cause issues with longevity? Like what are the big buckets you look to say, like, these are the things that if you could wave a wand and solve for most people, it would solve the majority of their issues?
One of the biggest causes of rapid aging right now is toxins. So it's not just reducing food toxins. These are natural toxins and man-made toxins. It's the air you breathe, the water you drink, and the light that enters your eyes. Those are sources of major toxins.
Talk about the light.
Do I need to be doing the show with the glasses? I know you have the glasses. I wear the red light glasses at night, but these are probably not great.
Whenever Michael turns on artificial lights too bright, me and my daughter go, "Stop, we have blue eyes." Can you explain to him that I can't wait. Please go off on the light.
I know the light's not great.
This is my dream. No, it hurts my
But
eyes.
this
hurts my eyes.
Lauren, I got rid of the light, and then you saw the result on camera, and you lost your shit, and you said we need light.
He has this childhood thing where he comes in the room and like turns on every light, like the DMV light, and I'm like, stop.
It is so bad for you to do that after the sun goes down.
No, not after the sun goes down.
Not after the sun goes down.
Okay.
I'll give him that. It's in the morning.
So in the morning, you do want more light, but you don't want the kind of light that is in your house because it's LED light, which is just bad for you.
Thank you.
So now check this out. Try these on. This is True Dark. These only block toxic blue.
I'm so happy that you're saying this.
But look at what your brain feels when you do this.
I hate to say it again, but I'm right. Yeah, it's so much better. I'm like, and I don't know if it's because we have blue eyes.
You know what you could do, Carson? Do you have a bag back there? We could put the bag on her head. And
I need to wear these when
just block her out. And a
no,
muzzle?
But it's so much
Do
nicer.
you feel your brain relax?
It's immediate. And you know how I know that this is true? Someone came and turned all the power off in my house during the day, and I immediately felt the drop.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep telling him in the morning, he turns every fucking light on in the fucking house.
Well, I don't like to, in the morning, I get up before the sun comes up.
And then
so
I go around dimming and like setting tones and ambiance. I can't.
Okay, so I'm
going to wear these lights in the morning.
This is a question people will probably ask you. We've also heard that in the morning you want to get light, and if there is no
Natural
sun,
sunlight.
What do you do? Pipe down over there. What do you do if you need to, in the morning, if you're up before the sun and you want to hit your circadian rhythm the right way, what do you do?
It's my dream.
I can explain that. And first though, I just want to say these are not blue blocking glasses.
Oh.
Right? Blue blocking glasses are bad for you because they block all blue light, and you need blue light to wake up during the day. And at night, blocking blue light doesn't work because you have to block other colors too. Mm-hmm. These only block toxic blue light, which is underneath 490 nanometers.
What's the brand?
It's called True Dark.
This is your brand, right?
This is my brand. I started this 10 years ago. It's the first circadian glasses company, and the glasses you wear in the evening, they're not just red. It's 4 layers of filters. It looks kind of reddish. I don't get jet lag anywhere on the planet with those. I also was someone, my natural bedtime is 2 a.m. It has been that for my entire life since I was 10 years old.
Still?
No, I fixed it.
Oh.
So I wore the True Dark glasses every night religiously as soon as the sun went down for about 3 or 4 months. And suddenly I started to go to bed at 10 because the brightness and color of light is the number one signal to your body for what time of day it is. So you'll go to bed earlier, but you'll get better sleep in less time. So it's a huge difference. So you go to my house, people think it's a submarine or something because I have red lights at night.
He's on board for that. I got to give him credit. It's all red light.
Okay.
He has a red book light.
Perfect.
He has the hatch.
No, you'll be happy with this.
Everything's
So do you like the 8 sleep or no?
Yeah, it sleeps great.
So I use that. And then I wear the Whoop sometimes. So I like dual measure.
So you cool your bed off at night.
Cool my bed.
Great. It's really good for sleep.
But no matter what, every night, and I can show you the scores, I'm in bed and asleep by 10 and every morning up by 6.
And he wears the glasses, but I think we need your double, triple,
I get like 2.5 to 3 hours of REM sleep a night and about an hour and 40 minutes of deep sleep.
Dude, you're killing it.
No, my sleep game's good.
Really good.
My sleep is crushing it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give him a start.
So, in the morning.
Let's talk about that.
Well, if you turn bright lights on in the morning before the sun comes up, you're going to make yourself move your sleep window up even further. So you want to go to bed earlier and earlier. So maybe if the sun isn't up yet and you don't want to become even more of a morning person, turn the red lights on in the morning too.
Okay.
So 2 billion years ago, when we were little mitochondria floating in the ocean, sunrise, red light, middle of the day, super bright, blue light coming down, and then end of the day, red light, sunset. So these are signals to wake up and go to bed. So that would be the right thing to do. And then when the sun's up, you turn the lights on, but look at the type of light in your home. You can get incandescent bulbs. You can get natural spectrum incandescent bulbs, and those will change your life. And if you do, like the lights in here, these are what, about 5,200K or something?
I mean, these are intense lights, obviously, because they're studio lighting.
Okay, they're 5,600K, I guess 5,200. You could put these at 3,000K and adjust your cameras, and then their eyes wouldn't be so tired.
Carson, can you do that? Because
Carson, we're getting blasted over here, man.
My studio, my lights are at 2,700K and it looks just fine because I changed the spectrum. And for people listening, what do you mean K? A low number like 2,700K, that's more like a natural, like morning light. And it's got more yellow in it. It's a richer light.
You say that one more time? You said
it's 2,700K or 3,000K. This is the warm natural light that makes us feel good. It's better to have incandescent bulbs because they come with infrared and other tones and they don't blink. And
get his
LEDs
lighting set
blink.
up, Carson. Get the
Dave, in the morning though, before we get these bulbs, which I'm ordering right now, should he be dimming the lights or should he, what should we do with the lights?
Well,
saying wait for the sun.
I would wait for the sun and then you can turn the lights up and get lights that don't piss your eyes off.
Okay.
That would be the easiest thing to do.
So toxins.
Mm-hmm.
What else are like the big...
For longevity?
Yep.
Okay, you already talked about sleep quality. You talked about toxins. The other one is getting enough animal protein. And
controversial these days, even though it's getting more
how
press.
Can it be controversial?
I mean, that's all I've always had.
Yeah, people are not good at math or reading science or something. So 1 gram of animal protein per pound of body weight. If you do that, it has the same effect on GLP-1 as taking Ozempic. Mm-hmm. And if you want to do plant-based proteins, well, you're going to do a lot of industrial processing. You're still going to have a lot of toxic metals and other things that aren't that good for you. But the very best plant-based proteins are not nearly as available as animal proteins. So you're going to need something like 2 grams per pound of body weight of plant-based protein, which means your only existence is drinking nasty tasting sludge all day long to just force it in. It's a bad idea. So I would say count the animal protein, eggs, dairy, meat. This is where the protein that has the most nutrients, where that comes into the body. If you were to do that for 2 months and just look at the changes in body composition, like as an example, my girlfriend is a relationship coach. She runs a company called We Deepen. And when I met her, she had not had red meat in 25 years. And I'm like, look, I'm a chef. I'll cook whatever you want. But she would never tell me what she wanted. I'm like, do you want mushrooms? I don't know what vegan kind of stuff is. Like, I've been a vegan, but I don't know what you like. And finally she said, okay, fine. I'll just eat some steak. I'm like, seriously? Okay. In 6 weeks, she gained 6 pounds of muscle and lost 6 pounds of fat.
That's exactly what
just
happened to me.
From protein.
I gained 60 pounds with my 2 babies. And what got it off was animal protein, milk, eggs, and lifting weights.
That's all it takes. You don't have to lift that often either for it to work. Like, it's crazy.
It is crazy. What's a certain brand or like place that you get your meat from?
Anything that's grass-fed, grass-finished is good.
Okay.
If you're here in Austin, I probably don't want to give it away because everyone will go buy it, but I will. Go to Holy Cow, WHOLLY. This is like the biggest dive burger joint you'd ever imagine. Like the ambiance is like rundown 7-Eleven, but single estate grass-fed beef from the guy's uncle's ranch, and they have a freezer full of beef there. And if that doesn't work, or I don't want to get it from the freezer, you can order grass-fed meat on Instacart. Right.
We like the guys at Force of Nature too.
Oh, Force of Nature is great. Yeah, that's really good stuff. And then for people who are on a budget, lamb is almost always grass-fed. And you can buy lamb chunks. You can also buy hamburger, and you can buy a quarter or half a cow. And it can come down to $6 or $8 a pound as long as you have a $200 Costco freezer.
Can we also talk about genetics and the role they play in diet? I've been on my high horse intuitively just saying, so I have a weird genetic background. My mother is right down the middle, half Italian and half Japanese.
Oh, wow.
And then my father's like Scottish, Irish, bunch of stuff. But I grew up with my grandmother, my Japanese grandmother, in the house a lot. And there's things that I feel that I can get away with eating that maybe are, like a lot of fish and a lot of like make me feel really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then certain things that, that I can stay away from. But I go back, like whenever I'm wondering, because I'm not a nutritionist and I've always struggled figuring out what to eat, but I just go back to intuitively like what our ancestors evolved with is kind of what I lean into for food. And I wonder like if you could talk a little bit more about genetics, because I know you've talked about it in the past.
Genetics make a big difference. And if you can figure out what your great grandparents would have eaten, that's great. Was it rice or was it wheat for you?
Mostly rice.
Well, it depends on which side of the family. You said you're half Italian.
Yeah, that's true.
Ah, that's interesting.
Right? I eat a lot of rice though.
Are you like focaccia or are you like, sushi? Right?
I feel like I can handle both of it.
You probably can, but what you do is, don't eat any of that stuff and eat. It doesn't have to be straight carnivore, but I've recommended for 14 years now, go for 2 weeks, eat a very simple diet that's free of most plant toxins. White rice is the lowest toxin grain you can get. If you were to do that, say, God, what's changed? And look, my skin changed, my joints changed. I'm not farting death anymore. Like all the different stuff that happens.
Oh,
oh yeah, you might need to do that.
Wow.
So once you make those changes, like, let's add it back in. And then you have rice or you have bread and you see, what did it do the next day? Like, was there dark circles under my eyes? And if you want to do it really well, you get a continuous glucose monitor. They're very available, like Levels makes one. It's levels.link/Dave. I think they'll give you a couple bucks off or something, or they'll do something. I've worked with the company as an advisor, and it's a little puck you put on your arm for 2 weeks, and every time you eat it tells you what your blood sugar did. So one of those two is better for you. But no matter what your background, eating carbs by themselves is dumb. You should always put protein and fat with them. You can have some veggies if it makes you happy, but they're not the most important part of the meal by a long shot.
So eat the carbs, but just have a protein and have a fat with it.
Yes.
But figure out also through the process of elimination, which one is working better for you or not.
And it's very likely in the US that no one should ever eat wheat again until we fix our farming practice. Because when you buy American wheat, it's already an aggressive species called hard wheat, which has a lot more gluten and a lot more natural toxins. And the common practice is they spray glyphosate on it at the very end of the crop to make it ripen faster, which means you're getting a huge dose of glyphosate that directly messes up your gut. I do not eat any wheat in the US because if I get a tablespoon of it or just a little bit in a dish, it wrecks my gut and my brain doesn't feel right. I can go to Europe. Mm-hmm. I can eat croissants. I can eat bread, right? In fact, lately, people who know me is like, don't eat gluten because it's not really good for you. I've been ordering flour, white flour from France that doesn't have glyphosate in it. And I ferment the crap out of it to make sourdough. And I can eat that. I take some enzymes to digest whatever gluten's left over after the fermentation. And it's okay.
If you're going to drink alcohol, I don't know if you do or not, if you are going to, or if people are going to think about drinking alcohol, what are some things that you would do to guard yourself against the effects of the alcohol?
Alcohol is funny. I do drink alcohol. I just like it to be older than I am, which means it's too expensive to really drink more than like once a year. So if I'm having sushi, which I love, maybe once a year I'll have some sake or something. It's just not a part of my life. And I published an alcohol infographic on the blog that says the alcohols that are least likely to cause problems are distilled. And the ones that cause the most problems are wine and beer because they're not filtered. So you're relying on your liver and kidneys to do it. If you have a glass of wine, it's going to ruin your sleep more than a shot of vodka or tequila. But neither one's good for you. And alcohol ages the body very specifically because the first step of breaking it down creates something called an aldehyde that goes through the body and browns your tissues. It cross-links proteins in a really nasty way. So what would you do about that? You can take the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It's a little shot called Z-Biotic. And you take a little drink of that thing. And for the next 24 hours, your gut bacteria won't make that toxic byproduct when you drink. And then you take glutathione to protect the liver from getting depleted by alcohol and glutathione levels. And if you do that and you take electrolytes and you have some fat with the alcohol, you'll probably be fine.
Okay, so you personally, it's a very rare occasion, but if someone's going to do it, they follow that protocol, that's going to help them the most.
It's basically glutathione, Z-Biotic, maybe activated charcoal if you're going to drink beer and wine. And you'll be better off the next day, but it's still not good for you.
Quick break to talk about nowadays. I love that there are now alternatives to alcohol that people can enjoy a night out or a day out with something other than alcohol, which is why I'm so excited to talk about Nowadays. Founded in 2023, it was created to put a new spin on drinking. The brand was born from the desire to change the future of how we consume beverages, offering an easy entry point to cannabis that can be enjoyed just like alcohol. Nowadays is a cannabis-infused beverage brand designed to deliver a light, buzzy experience without the hangover. Who needs another hangover? I know I sure don't. Nowadays, cannabis-infused spirits are also the perfect base for your favorite cocktail and come in bottles in 3 varieties: microdose, which is 2 milligrams, low dose, which is 5 milligrams, and high dose, which is 10 milligrams, all with a crisp, light citrus flavor. They also now have their new THC canned cocktails, which come in 12 ounce and 16 ounce cans. The 12 ounce is 5 milligrams of THC and the 16 ounce is 10 milligrams of THC. They're ready to drink beverages and they come in 4 refreshing flavors: tropical, spicy lime, citrus, and berry. And each 12 ounce can contains only 4 grams of sugar. What I love about Nowadays is you can actually time the social buzz that you're going to get. Expect a gentle lift within the first 10 to 20 minutes, followed by a social buzz in 20 to 40 minutes, and a smooth transition or subtle decline in your buzz about 45 to 60 minutes in. So check them out for good nights and even better mornings. Nowadays is easy to purchase with direct-to-door delivery. You must be 21 to order at trynowadays.com. And of course, we have an offer. Visit trynowadays.com and use code SKINNY at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. That's trynowadays.com. Use code SKINNY for 20% off your first order. One of the greatest things that Lauren and I have experienced moving to the middle of the country, moving to Texas, is that we are now much closer to one of our favorite places, and that is Miami. Lauren and I have got to spend a lot more time in Miami ever since moving to Austin because it's only 2 hours away. And it has quickly become one of our favorite places for an assortment of reasons. First, they have such a great art scene. They have museums, they have exhibits, they have things for kids and adults, whether it's the Perez Art Museum of Miami, the Institute of Contemporary Art in Miami. They also have so many great outdoor activities. Lauren and I, outside of loving the beach, you can go boating, you can go kayaking, you can go scuba diving, golf, tennis, pickleball, you name it. What I love about that city is everybody is happy, they're fit, they're active, they're in the sunshine, they're moving, they're grooving, and it's just a great time. It's great for family, it's great for adults, it's great for kids, and there's always something to do in a very active city. And let's not forget about the culinary experience. There are so many incredible restaurants in Miami. In Greater Miami and Miami Beach, there is always mouthwatering meal around the corner with Michelin-starred restaurants, food trucks, and local favorites. You can pretty much throw a rock in any direction and hit a great restaurant. It's just a moving and grooving city. We spend a lot of time over there now. We have a lot of friends that have moved there. It is no surprise that it has stayed and continues to be one of the most popular cities in the United States. Many people are familiar, obviously, with Miami Beach, but there's also downtown, the Design District. There's also Little Haiti. There's the Coconut Grove, Little Havana. There's so many places: Coral Graves, Miami Gardens, and Miami Springs. So check Miami out, learn more. Visit www.findyourmiami.com. Again, that's findyourmiami.com. Surprisingly, one of the questions I get most is, what is the choice of shirt that I choose to wear on a daily basis? This is why I'm so excited to talk to you guys about Mizzen and Main. Classic style meets modern performance. I am a lover, personally, of a crisp white dress shirt, which you can also use in casual environments, business environments. You can wear it out, you can wear it in, you can wear it any time of the day. Every single man should have a great casual, crisp white dress shirt, a blue one maybe to go with it. I also firmly believe that success starts with what you wear. If you don't take care of your presentation, if you don't dress up, if you don't wear things that are appropriate in environments that you're going into, you sometimes can look like a little bit of a slouch or look like you're just not paying attention or look like you're not putting any effort in. This is why it's so important to find a great essential wardrobe piece, which is why, again, I love Mizzen & Main dress shirts. It's also effortless. It's never been easier to look and feel your best with classic menswear from Mizzen & Main, designed to help you achieve your version of success while making it look easy along the way. And like I said, you can't go wrong with just having this classic staple in your wardrobe. So check them out. With Mizzen & Main, you can own a closet full of classic styles designed with modern performance fabrics that make trips to the dry cleaners an errand of the past, and moisture wicking and wrinkle resistant shirts the feeling of the future. Go to mizzenandmain.com and use promo code SKINNY20 to get 20% off your first purchase. Again, that's mizzenandmain.com and use promo code SKINNY20 for 20% off. If you've been looking for a dress shirt, if your boyfriend's been looking for one, if your husband's been looking for one, this is the place for you.
The Skinny Confidential's Memorial Day sale is here. And what I would recommend that you get is so obvious. It's the caffeinated sunscreen. This is the sunscreen that I use under my makeup. It does not pile, which is amazing. But most importantly, the caffeine does something to the texture of the skin. Like it tightens your skin. I've been using caffeinated sunscreen for like 12 years. And the reason I use it is because it tightens the pores. And then you also get the sun protection. How I use this is I use a damp beauty blender. So I take the damp beauty blender and then I'll do a bunch of squeezes of the caffeinated sunscreen on the damp beauty blender. And then I'll put it over my skincare and I am ready to go. I use this caffeinated sunscreen as like a tint during the day. I'm not a big makeup wearer unless I am working. I don't like to wear makeup. And this caffeinated sunscreen just gives me like a nice even skin tone. So that's what I would get on the sale. It's 20% off. You can also go on there and grab the facial massager if you want to contour your face. You can get the butter brush if you want to do what I'm doing and really activate the lymphatic system. I use my dry brush for cellulite. Like I use it during pregnancy, specifically on the backs of my legs to activate like the lymph and really get blood flow going. And then you can get the mouth tape and the beauty salt. Those are some of my favorites. You can go to shopskinnyconfidential.com. It's the Memorial Day sale and it's now through Monday, May 26th. So you can shop 20% off your favorite TSC products. We don't do a lot of sales, so go shop and get all your goodies. Stock up. shopskinnyconfidential.com. What about EMFs?
EMFs are, there's thousands of studies that show that they're not good for you. And people say, but there's no way, it's not like they're enough to heat up your tissues, so it doesn't matter. Well, there's a part of the cell membrane called a voltage-gated calcium channel. And EMFs make voltage on cells, which opens up the cells. So calcium goes in, which causes cell swelling, which causes mitochondrial death, and it disrupts things. I use pulsed electromagnetic frequencies here in town at Upgrade Labs. We have one of my longevity.
Wait, what is that? Pulsed what?
Pulsed electromagnetic frequencies. It's a giant machine that makes these waves in a way that benefits people. And you get these people go, magnets don't affect humans. I'm like, come to Upgrade Labs. Let me sit you on this machine and I'll turn it all the way up. And it causes your muscles to fire like this. And like, let me off. We don't turn it up that much unless people think magnets don't affect them. So magnets cause electrical currents on your cells. That's how it works. The body is electric and magnetic, and it uses light, and it uses vibration, and it uses chemicals, all of them.
So how do you protect yourself from EMF?
Well, the first thing you do is you take a deep breath, and you realize that we're all still here, and we have more EMFs than ever before.
Okay.
So you don't need to be afraid of EMFs, but recognize that minimizing exposure is a good idea. So my phone is sitting behind me, not in my pocket, and it's on airplane mode.
Why not in your pocket?
Well, if you put your phone in your pocket near your testes, it will reduce testosterone levels and sperm count.
Please talk about this. I see the phone in so many people's pockets.
My phone's in my office in the other room.
It's a good move.
That's hot.
If you put it, so good. If you put it near your ovaries, same thing. It's a thing. There's women who have breast cancer in the shape of the phone they always stick in their bra.
I literally was talking to someone today, a doctor, and she had her phone in her pocket. And I wanted to grab it, but I didn't. And then I also tell all my team, I'm like, I will buy you the safe shield, the case shield, because they put the laptop on the lap.
I bought those for all my employees years ago.
Doesn't it make you nervous? I don't, but am I a tin hat? Michael says I'm tin hat.
Not at all.
No, I didn't say that. I said what you said to start the conversation, which is you have to be able to get through the day in the life without going.
Then he tells me the story about the breast cancer. It's the
no,
shape
listen,
of
these are real concerns that people should be aware of. But I was saying, like, if you are at the point where you can't go outdoors or you can't be around certain things, or you can't like interact in life, then it's now you're causing serious stress to your body, and that's also harmful.
I just
the
want to
people who
protect
get there,
myself.
The people who get there usually have toxic metals in their bodies, and they really are electromagnetic sensitive, and it really makes them sick. It just takes them out, and they need to detox so that they can handle it. And then you have to retrain the nervous system to feel safe when there's a little bit of that. So what do? Turn off your Wi-Fi when you go to sleep at night. You just have a remote control lamp thing you can buy on Amazon for $25. It's a kill switch. Turn off your Wi-Fi. You don't need it. You're asleep.
Do you buy that off Amazon?
Yeah, it's like $20. There's a remote control lamp switch to turn a light on or off. You can buy a clapper, clap on Wi-Fi, clap off. It doesn't there's lots of ways to control
We don't have
electricity.
one of those. So you just turn it off with the remote?
Yeah, just plug it into the remote.
Okay. And then keep your phone off your penis and your vagina and your boobs and your butthole.
Yeah, and especially the butthole. No one wants a cell phone there. No. Where should you carry your phone? Well, in your purse is better. But if you don't carry a purse because you're a guy, put it in your back pocket at least. And one thing that I did years ago, I wrote a big book on fertility, so I've been aware of this for 20 years. I would always wear cargo pants, and I'd always have the phone on my right, like mid thigh, because at least it's away from the juicy bits, right? Well, I did a bone density scan, a high resolution one, where the phone sits. I had 15% less bone density on that femur. It's real. So airplane mode is your friend. If your phone is in airplane mode, no one will bother you. And it's so nice. Plus, you don't have the EMFs. Or when you sit down, put it on the table. Don't leave it in your pocket. Don't sleep with the phone on in your room.
Or like putting it right here, like even like you can move it.
Mm-hmm. My phone is in the other room.
Today.
Don't where's your phone?
My phone over here, away from me.
My phone's even further, so I win.
Why do people have ED?
The number one cause of ED is insulin resistance.
Huh.
Well, I have not heard that.
So don't eat seed oils and don't eat a lot of carbs. Learn how to intermittent fast and exercise every now and then, and it could go away.
Insulin resistance is a topic that I don't think people talk about enough. Is it correct that, and this might be incorrect, I'm no doctor, that GLP-1s are tweaking insulin resistance and that's why people are losing weight?
It's one of the major reasons, yeah.
Okay. So how do we fix it naturally?
And so is that why fertility rates are going up with people that are
infertility?
Fertility rates are going up.
When people go on GLP-1s, they get more fertile.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because it reduces insulin resistance. The GLP-1s at very, very low doses are potent anti-aging drugs. And at higher doses, they're life-saving drugs because being obese will kill you more than any side effect from Ozempic. But if you're going to use a GLP-1 drug, I published a protocol on my blog. You have to get enough protein even though you won't want to. So you mix it in water and you slam it, and you have to do heavy stuff twice a week. If you do that and maybe take some mineral supplements, maybe put minerals in your coffee, whatever else, but get enough minerals, get enough weightlifting, you will lose the fat and keep the muscle. If you take GLP-1s and you never eat anything and you don't exercise, you will lose so much muscle that it's dangerous.
You fix, not that you have ED, your insulin's great, but I'm just saying, if someone
well, thank God I got one compliment on the fucking show, Lauren.
We do. No, he's great. He's fine. But we do have a producer, not Carson, that maybe has a little ED situation going on.
No, he doesn't have ED. He's got a fast situation where he can't control the time to...
Okay.
But
that's
so
it's
whole
different situation.
It's insulin resistance that needs to be
you're
fixed.
the worst PR agent for men ever. He's got ED and he does not have fucking ED.
Whatever.
It's the opposite end of that spectrum.
Yeah, he's got the reverse problem, which he gets out the gate quick and then he can't finish the race, or he finishes the race too quick.
I guess I'm just asking for him. How can he support his penis?
Got it. So
yeah, really. Okay, here we go.
Having an adequate VO2 max is important too.
Oh.
So cardiovascular fitness. And people think, oh, that's a lot of cardio. 5 minutes, 3 times a week without sweating gives you 6 times better results than going to a spin class. That's what we do at Upgrade Labs here in town.
For how long each time?
It's 5 minutes, 3 times a week.
3 times a week.
And of that time, only 40 seconds is hard.
Okay.
And doing that, literally 6 times better VO2 max than doing an hour a day, 5 days a week.
So just sprints, or assault bike or whatever.
I better see all these guys sprinting away.
It's not just sprints. It turns out it's Very short, very intense sprints followed by intense recovery. And it's the rate of recovery that drives it. So, I mean, high intensity interval training is easy to do for most people. It works. It just takes longer and it doesn't work as well. And going for a walk is good too. But there are specific herbs you can do. You can take nitric oxide. There's a company called N101. That'll make a difference. And if you want to live a long time, you should microdose Cialis, which is what I do.
Whoa. What do you mean?
Microdose Cialis, why for longevity?
Yeah, why?
Well, it increases.
Are you just hard all the time?
It's a problem.
Oh my God.
I'm not hard all the time. I'm taking low doses. The reason we do it increases blood flow to the brain, so you're not going to get Alzheimer's, and it increases blood flow everywhere else, so you get a nice pump.
Wow.
Some veins.
Speaking of Alzheimer's,
But
did
we still have to finish the penis.
Yeah,
conversation.
Michael, let him
You
finish.
seem forgetful. Maybe it was
No,
Alzheimer's.
maybe might be.
Go ahead.
And here's the really big hack. It's called wasabi method. And I'm actually looking at opening a clinic here in town. Maybe I'll find the right partner for that. Wasabi method is a specific form of shockwave. And this is like a sonic jackhammer. And you run it over the penis, or you can do it on women, over the labia, clitoris, and other parts of the body you can get to externally. And it causes new blood vessels, and it causes new nerves to grow. So you can change the length very substantially. You can change the width. And if you have ED, it'll fix ED. But if you don't have ED, you can actually become a shower, not just a grower, and you can become a bigger grower. And I have done this twice on my podcast where I'm like, let's not aim the camera there. And I mean, I put on almost 2 inches.
What?
Yeah. And
oh my God, I'm hearing guys rejoice everywhere. 2 inches. 2 inches.
Carson, pull this clip. This is going to be important for our social channel.
It was only 10%, but no, I was kidding.
I can't do math, Dave. Don't worry.
No, for real. I didn't have any concerns there in the first place, but certain positions became like not doable because it was bigger than it was before. And it took me about 6 months. You get out of the shower and you kind of know what you look like when you're a guy. I'm like, that is not my cock.
Oh my God, you heard it here first. Dave Asprey's penis grew 2 inches and he didn't think it was his cock because it was so big.
I didn't recognize it.
That's the headline.
And I've also injected stem cells on camera into my cock.
Does it hurt?
Well, they put lidocaine on first, but it still kind of hurts. In fact, I showed the video at my conference one year, and all you can see is I'm holding the camera, and there's like a blanket blocking the thing, and you see my toes, and then you see this hand with a big needle come down, and then my toes go, and then I'm like, it's gonna make it thicker and longer, right? It was the funniest clip ever. But yeah, here's the thing: you want to live a very long time, you should have an epic sex life.
Yes.
You need to have incredible sex, and sex is a gateway to altered states. It's 20% of people report meeting God during orgasm at least once in their life. And you won't know it because they're just laying there twitching, but they're having a deep, profound, healing spiritual experience.
I have met God during orgasm. I've met him a couple times.
There you go, right? So high five.
I met someone. He's like, what are you doing with your life?
So it happens for men and women. And maintaining, we'll say, youthful sexual activity even when you're 80 is entirely possible. And the other thing that's just critically important right now, we have an epidemic of low testosterone in men and women because of plastics and fragrances. You just throw that crap away in your house, especially like artificial fragrance, air fresheners and fabric softeners, stuff like that.
You don't like a Christmas tree in an Uber?
Oh, dude. Do Uber drivers not know they're shrinking their balls with their Christmas trees?
The Dark Knight when the Joker's head's out the window?
Yes.
That's like Lauren when she gets in that.
I'm the same way. It's
I'm
so
dramatic. I'm like, I'll like leave Branch Basics.
Nice.
I'm like,
funny.
Code Skinny.
I'm always like, would you be willing to put the air freshener in the glove compartment?
You do not say that.
I do, but I'm really honest. I'm like, it gives me migraines, right? And if you ask nicely, like my writer rating is really high, and and then after that,
so many tips today.
After that, I'm like, oh, and by the way, it shrinks your balls. And then, no, I don't say that, but I have to TSA, but that's different.
Oh.
Just at the airport, I'm like, I don't want to go in that scanner. It shrinks your balls. How are yours doing? You stand next to it all day long.
Does it really?
Well, actually, it's really bad for you, but I just say it because it scares them.
Shrinking your balls is a good one to say.
Yeah.
What's the thing that you were eating the whole episode? You've been eating
Zen.
something. A Zen.
No, it
Is
wasn't.
it Zen?
It wasn't quite Zen. So it's nicotine, but it is knick-knack. I use knick-knack or Lucy because they don't have any toxins. And unfortunately, the little sachets or sachets, how do you say that?
Or microplastics.
Yeah.
They're full of microplastics. So I don't use Zen unless there's nothing else. But low dose nicotine stops Alzheimer's disease. And it's an incredibly good cognitive enhancer. And I have no issues with using a moderate amount of nicotine. And
What do you
it's
think
great.
of a high quality cigar once in a while? I know you smoke it, but
If you're just putting it in your mouth the way you normally smoke cigars, you don't really inhale it, you just kind of taste it. It's not going to be a problem. Cigars,
I will tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
The penis after a cigar,
Mm-hmm.
you never felt better.
well, it's
After
probably
you smoke it or he smokes it?
After he smokes a cigar,
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole new world.
well,
Really?
I imagine.
That's
See,
cool.
Dave, I taught Dave something.
I got some cigars at home. I'm going to try it.
Well, I like it for the reason.
It's
I mean,
blood
listen, like
flow or
I'm
testosterone or something.
I'm a
Something.
nicotine fan. As I've gotten older, I don't drink barely at all anymore, and so once in a while, like that'll be the vice. But I just like the practice of like
Vice it
sitting
up.
down, chilling out, having a
Yeah.
little bit.
He like relaxes because he can run like
Well, cigars also get a really bad name because they get associated with cigarettes, which you inhale.
Yeah.
Cigars you don't, and then also cigarettes have so many ingredients, and in a quality cigar, it's like literally it's just the tobacco
and
leaf.
if any
don't
guys
have a problem
listening
with
and they
cigars.
want
Not
to
endorsed,
they
though.
want to grow 2 inches real quick because they just need to try something quick instead of microdosing Cialis, just get a great cigar.
Okay,
It's a
quickly
great
though.
cigar. And go to Wasabi Method, the company. And I'm looking for people to do Wasabi Method in Austin. So
Okay, well,
Okay.
I'm here, so maybe if I need a couple inches,
Well,
I'll give you a
I mean
call.
practitioners. You don't have to be a
Give
doctor
me-
either.
Carson, get his number immediately. Anyways, quickly, because I will forget this. You've talked about Alzheimer's throughout this episode, and it sounds like you've done a lot of research on how to guard yourself against this.
I wrote a New York Times bestseller on it. Yeah.
Did you see recently they've been talking about how higher cholesterol can actually maybe guard against
Yeah.
that?
Cholesterol's
And-
not bad for you. That's why your liver makes it.
And I want you to
Yeah.
talk about it because, like someone of my dad's generation, for example, their cholesterol has been demonized for them.
Mhm.
And you've seen a lot of, cases of Alzheimer's rising. There's my grandma suffered and then passed from it, and I just think who better to ask?
I've studied cognitive function because my brain didn't work in my 20s. It just stopped working extensively, and longevity extensively. And the data shows that the people who reach 100 plus, they have higher cholesterol levels, not lower cholesterol levels.
Huh.
So what's dangerous is low cholesterol, especially for the brain, because the brain is so rich in cholesterol. And if you have low cholesterol, you will have low testosterone because testosterone is made out of cholesterol. But having oxidized cholesterol, which comes from eating damaged cholesterol or from unchecked inflammation in the body, that's bad for you. And if you're worried about your cholesterol, you can get a lab test of something called, LPPLA2. And this is an enzyme that's released when the lining of your arteries has damage. So if you're saying, oh no, my cholesterol is 220, the way it's been in healthy people forever until they started selling drugs for cholesterol, well, then see if the cholesterol is causing harm. And if it's not, then maybe you don't need to worry about it.
Dave, you have an open invite on the show anytime because I can tell you we could kick Michael off and you and I could go at it. But you could also kick me off and you and Michael could go at it.
We could talk to you for hours.
I'm
going to
be
Super fun.
on mat leave, and if he wants to come back on and just talk about
now that I know that you're local, I can track
live
you down.
here. It's easy.
whatever they want to talk about.
I'll give you my number. Yeah.
You're fabulous on a mic. I've harassed you for years, so I'm so happy that you're here.
I can't believe I never saw any of your emails. You're not very good at harassing.
DM.
Oh, DMs on Instagram?
I think so.
Dude, I have like 1.2 million followers. You're going to see all those DMs? How do you do that?
I see.
You're not great on DM either, though. Let's
No, I'm
be
not
honest.
great.
Let's be honest.
I know. That's
Anyway, sorry I
It's
didn't
true.
see it.
You're the perfect person to ask. Do you mouth tape?
I've been mouth taping for, I think, 7 years now.
Yes.
Even my teenage daughter, she tried it once. It was like, Dad, this is great. I don't have a dry mouth. I feel so much better. I think mouth taping is critical for longevity because of the changes in nitric oxide and blood flow in the brain. I tape my mouth every night. I travel with mouth tape. It's really important. And most of all, though, in relationships, taping your partner's mouth is so important for a healthy marriage.
It's true. True. It's been one of my favorite things that when she started mouth taping.
I don't know, Dave. He doesn't love when my mouth is taped.
That's a fair point. Can you poke a hole in it?
I have a tiny little slit in mine, but it doesn't fit.
Well, after talking to you and I'm going to go to the clinic, I'm going to need a bigger hole now.
So you're a mouth tape lover. It's Dave approved.
It's not just Dave approved. You don't get cavities and your brain works better. Everything is better if you mouth tape. It's so cheap. It's something that I religiously do.
We're going to get you some bright pink lips before you leave.
The mouth tape too, it's the strongest on the market.
Okay.
I've tried them all. This is the best of the best.
I can't wait.
You'll love it.
I'm excited.
Tell us where we can get a code for the coffee and the glasses and what the URLs are.
Okay, we'll make this up on the fly. So use code SKINNY and go to dangercoffee.com. Okay, and we'll give you a meaningful discount. I got to ask my guys what it is. And for the glasses, these are different than blue blockers, and the sleep glasses there's nothing else like them. They're actually different than just red glasses. It's truedark.com. Use code SKINNY, and we'll give you a deal. These will change your sleep, and during the day, you don't get tired under bright lights.
Love. And then when does the book come out, and where can we buy it?
You can order Heavily Meditated right now. Just go anywhere you like to buy books. That's code for go to Amazon, but I'm not allowed to say that because then Barnes & Noble, which you really should go to support independent booksellers and all that. So go to an indie bookstore. Go anywhere you like, but Heavily Meditated, I do read the audiobook and all myself as well. You can order it right now, and it'll get to you in early April.
Awesome.
And the coffee's Danger Coffee?
Danger Coffee. It's dangercoffee.com. And this is really good coffee, and the minerals change how it hits, and you need the minerals desperately anyway for longevity.
We're going to try it. I'm going to order it today.
Actually,
Dark
I brought you some.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, where's my backpack? I should have handed it to you at this time. Anyway,
Thank you
I brought
so much for coming on the show. You're fabulous. Thank you.
That was fun.
Appreciate you, man.